There we are. Cool. Good. Well, Joe, thank you so much for joining me, man. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
I'm happy. It's all things are good, man. All things are good. So, for the people who may not have been fortunate enough to hear your story, tell us a little bit about you. Tell us first, introduce yourself, and give us a little bit about your background.
My name is Joe. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I got a wife and two kids, two Dobermans also.
Nice.
I do music. I do, in terms of music, singer-songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, producer. Yeah. And outside of music, I also do comedy. I cook. I'm taking acting lessons. I'm autistic and mentally ill.
And you are, you have this huge spectrum of stuff that you do, which is so interesting. One of the reasons I was excited to get an opportunity to talk to you, and you can't forget. And I know that you don't spend a lot of time talking about it, but you were at LSU. You were drafted in the NFL. You played a couple seasons in the NFL, and you've gone on off into music. And the reason we got connected is because you're not only a musician, but one of your first forays into music was a dip into Star Wars sort of points of view with Kevin Cabral, who was actually a guest on our show a couple months ago.
Nice, yeah.
So maybe let's just start a little bit with your Star Wars journey. You grew up in Detroit. Mm-hmm. Tell me your first exposure to Star Wars, and how old were you, and how did it affect you when you were a kid?
I was pretty young. I know this because I think the first Star Wars movie I saw in theaters was A New Hope. It was the first Star Wars movie I'd ever seen, but it was A New Hope. They were doing a bunch of replays of the original trilogy in preparation for the prequel trilogy at the time. Like Phantom Menace was coming out around that time. I think I was really young when Phantom Menace came out. So that was the first movie I saw. It was unlike anything I'd ever seen before. And I've been down with it ever since.
It's so interesting. Like, in doing 125 or so episodes, you're talking to people, all kinds of different early experiences with Star Wars, and it sticks with you. It stays with you. You see it that one, like it's a very similar story. So I saw it and it stuck with me. It didn't go away. Did you find what was it? Can you recall what it was maybe about it that really affected you?
I think the fact that it took place in what we know as space,
Mm-hmm.
outer space, different from this planet, that kind of thing. I thought that was pretty cool. And also, the first movie, touched on it lightly, but just the whole Sith and Jedi history and the story of that throughout the years of the generations, and learning more about them in particular is what really pulled me in. Especially, seeing cats like Darth Vader on screen for the first time was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you then you saw those, and then the prequels came. So you're it sounds like you have kind of a unique Star Wars experience in that you're a Star Wars original trilogy, but then the prequel trilogy hit around. You were in sort of that prime age, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how did you growing up with the prequels? How did they impact you versus, say, the original trilogy? Because you actually got them both at kind of the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel like both trilogies were connected, or did you feel like they were just different stories? Or
yeah, they felt connected to me because I was just looking. This is when I was a little kid. I wasn't a film critic or anything like that. I was just following the story, and so from the story continuation standpoint, or the story synergy, that was easy for me to follow, and just pulling from it, because nothing's perfect. Nothing's perfect. Right. You pull from it the concepts and things that you identify with, and the things that you don't, you just let them be. And that's always been my relationship with it. I've never, I'm not gonna sit here and say that I'm in love with what happened with the sequel trilogy, because I'm not. But at the same time, the sequel trilogies also gave us Kylo Ren, which is like my second favorite character of all time in Star Wars. So, like I said, nothing's perfect. I take from it the things that I dig, and the things I don't dig, I just let them be. So
Yeah, what do you think it is about Star Wars that as we said at the top, and I'm gonna ask you some questions in a little
Mhm.
bit about your music career and things like that. But what is it about Star? I've been very lucky in that I've had a handful of musicians on the show, um, and I always find it interesting. What is that connection, do you think, between a love of Star Wars? I mean, as I mentioned to you before, I'm a wannabe musician myself. What is it about Star Wars and that creative side of your life? I mean, because if you look at, you read the Joe Barksdale Wikipedia, entry, it starts with the musician, but you can't skip the football player part, and you can't skip that whole, that was a big part of your life. But to be so committed to music and creativity and arts through whether it's comedy or music, do you think Star Wars influenced that, or do you think being that type of person, having that in your being, kind of drew you to something in Star Wars?
I think it's a little bit of both. I know that's such a cop out answer, but
It's all
okay,
right.
if I'm saying one more than the other, it's the latter.
Yeah.
Me being who I am, drawing me to Star Wars, because like you said, you find a lot of artists that have deep relationships with it, and Star Wars is, I mean, it's not nothing, but Star Wars is nothing more than someone else's art.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, it's on a certain level. I think it's an artist admiring art that they that may be cathartic for them, may have therapeutic properties, or may unlock some things that you don't even address in your own life, concepts, philosophical thoughts that maybe you normally wouldn't think about. Um, and I would also say it also influenced me, as it influenced my art in terms of like the Kyber tapes that I did with Kevin Cabral, or the way that I approach, making things in general. I mean, I've always, said about my music, I want people to feel the way that I felt I don't want people to feel the way when they hear my music, the way that I felt when I first saw my first Star Wars movie. Like, this is nothing nothing I've never seen before, but something I've always wanted to, or in my case, something you never heard before, but
Yeah.
you've always wanted to hear. And so in little ways like that, as well as like in big ways, like I said, you make projects dedicated to the, Star Wars lore, or you use different things about Star Wars in your songs. Like Darth Vader, I don't remember. It wasn't in the first. It wasn't in the first movie. The All Too Easy,
Hmm.
where he was fighting Luke Skywalker. My
Yep.
daughter, I was using that as a music tag. Different producers, you have tags like Zaytoven,
Hmm.
Metro Boomin, that kind of thing. So mine was or one of the tags that I had was a voice of Darth Vader saying "All Too Easy." It was a clip from the movie. I didn't want to get sued. So I asked my daughter to say it into them. So sometimes, you'll hear my music or whatever, and that'll be the tag, like the All Too Easy. So that's
That's
something
cool.
that'll always be, in my music.
That's cool. And I hear Lucasfilm was totally cool about you just stealing their stuff. They're just totally fine with
Nice.
that. Just go for
Cool.
it.
The way I see it is, if I ever did steal anything, they wouldn't make money till I made money. If it doesn't sell, you can't. We need half of that $3, please.
It'll cost them more in postage to send you the letter asking for the check.
Exactly.
Oh, I know it, man. I know it. So that's interesting. So let's talk a little bit about the Kyber tapes. We'll go backwards from there, but so the Kyber tapes. My listeners know. So I was on an online, I think it was a Twitter space, and they were talking about podcasts, and I met somebody and talked about my Star Wars podcast, and they said, you got to speak to Joe Barksdale. He did this thing called the Kyber Tapes. And so I went to Spotify. And first of all, I'm not just saying this because you're a guest. I'm saying it because I'm a Star Wars fan. If you're listening to this show, you got to go find those. The link will be in the notes, because it's this really, I'm going to call it sort of, some of it's like a little bit of electric soul. Some of it is like almost soundtracky. Some of it's, just there's a lot of feel and vibe to it. But at the same time, you worked with Kevin Cabral, who's the impressionist who did a number of voices. And what I love about it is he didn't just pull lines from movies, right? You didn't just take things. You almost created a story. And there's the one that I like, and I can't remember the name of it, and I apologize for that. You can probably tell me which one it is. But the one where Anakin and Kylo are talking, and it's like that's a scene that I wanted to see in the movie. How did you come up with all that? Where did that come from, and what inspired you to do that? And tell me about working with Kevin a little bit.
Um, I had the idea for it, and I met Kevin, or no, I was introduced to Kevin through social media. I saw him doing some impersonations, and I'm like, oh, this would be perfect. I don't know if it's impersonations or impressions. Either way, this would be perfect for the Star Wars project that I have in my mind. And when I wanted to do it originally, like before I met Kevin, it was going to be very dark side, like Sith focused, all that kind of stuff. Kevin actually coming in and helping out has brought it back to the neutrality that it has now, which I think is fantastic. And we pretty much talked about how we each saw the project. We wanted to come up with instruments for each character. So like Obi-Wan's instruments were like brassy horn type things, whereas like Sidious had those insidious strings and orchestral soundscapes. And we wanted to do more. It's a thing they say in film, like, show don't tell. We wanted to, kind of like give you the feeling, and it's kind of the same thought process. We wanted to show and not tell. And it was pretty much Star Wars from our points of view. I mean, those statements and thoughts, they came from conversations that we had with each other. And like I said, Kevin did a fantastic job. He's a fantastic job doing so many different voices, and not just doing the voices, but bringing the proper emotion and inflections and things like that too. So I would say it's really more than anything, it was based in emotion and then built around Kevin and I's each unique experiences with Star Wars and the Force, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that. Now when I go back and listen to it, I'll listen to it a little bit differently because of, I mean, there's it like I said, I think that must be why I got that sort of cinematic feel from it, because it's telling the story from different perspectives, and it's really you let the instruments do the talking sometimes, and that's really cool. Now, was that your first sort of full project that you put together and released, or was there?
That was my second or third album, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah, because I've dropped already 2 albums this year, and there's 2 more coming out. Plus that one, so that'll be 5. But I think I released 2 more albums before this one. I mean, Sincerely is kind of an EP. It's only 5 songs, but yeah, Sincerely, and then there's Electric Soul. There was another album called Butterflies, Rainbows, and Moonbeams. It was my first album that I released.
Okay, so that came before the Kyber tapes. Okay, because I listened to that as well. Yeah. Okay, good.
But yeah, so I guess after those 3, 4, it was my 5th one, because I released one this year before that one.
That's the amazing thing is once you start with that sort of creative output, you just want to keep it going, and you just want to keep rolling with it. So let's take a step back, and I want to understand the story of how you go from being an NFL player and a tackle. You weren't some like little kicker guy, right? You were an offensive tackle, which, man, quite impressive. The last NFL player I spoke to was O.J. Anderson. I met him at a charity event, and I'm looking at him and I'm like, who's tackling this guy when he was in his prime? So it's impressive. And to watch you play on the videos, the guitar, it looks so small in your hands because you're a large gentleman. I'm not. But so how did you go from being a football, because you didn't always play music, right? That just happened, in the more recent half of your life, right?
No. Music's been a part of my life since I was born. Growing up in the inner city of Detroit, Michigan, going to church every Sunday, and sometimes Sunday nights and Wednesdays and Thursdays. But music is a huge part of the community that I come from.
Sure.
And then on top of that, you got all the Motown artists. Marvin Gaye.
Oh yeah, I mean, being from Detroit, yeah.
So you almost overwhelmed with music at an early age, and for me, because a lot of people, they're overwhelmed with the same amount of music, but they gravitate to this, gravitate to that. I dug everything. So
Okay.
being open to that, opened me up to a lot of different influences. I wanted to play, I sang in the church choir. I wanted to play in a jazz band. So I started playing saxophone, but in order to play saxophone in the school band, I had to play violin for a year, just, so they could see that I was serious about it. So I've been doing music. Actually, my wife, we went to middle school together, and we actually played in the band together. When we were in
awesome.
school. I just randomly remembered that as we were talking. Oh yeah, we did used to play together. But yeah, she stuck with the violin. Not anymore. She doesn't play anymore.
Okay.
But yeah, I've been doing music. In fact, I wanted to continue music when I got to. I tried out for this jazz band right before I got out of middle school, going into high school.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get into the jazz band. It really hurt my feelings. Like it really hurt. I think looking back on it, I know some of it's the autism, but like, you get rejected once, you're not trying to get rejected again. You just stop. And I got to high school and I told myself I was going to start playing again in college. Football came around in high school. So I didn't get to play again in college. And I had this very significant death in my life in 2014. And that's when the music came back. In terms of instrument playing. But up until then, I've still been doing like DJing and, playlist curation and, all the fringe stuff.
Yeah.
I always love music. It's been my favorite way to communicate.
Yeah. Once music is in your life, it doesn't let go. I mean, it's always with you. It's always that expression. I always say to people, I have friends who say, hey, my son wants to play guitar. My daughter wants to play piano. What do you think? And I'm like, absolutely, man. You can always, it's something you always have, right? Whether you pursue it as a career as you are now, or you're an executive in a desk job, you can always come home and you'll always have that outlet. Do you find that the music helped you in some of the transitions in your life, and that's kind of what kept you with it? And you said there was a tragedy in your life that kind of brought it back. Has it always have been there for the good and the bad? Has it kind of been your bridge through different things?
Oh yeah, music is my sonic journal. When it comes to I store my memories in music. I mean, that's not to say I don't keep a journal. I'm not trying to sound like some mystic some mystic being from another planet, but sometimes I feel that way. And some people refer to autism as like they call it like other planet syndrome or something like that. But music, whenever people weren't able to understand what I was trying to say, there was always a song that got my point across, along with just I don't just hear the music, like I can feel it too. And I think that those two things definitely led to me, like I said, keeping, turning them. I store my memories in music, like cut a song on that I dig and I can tell you, what I was really, what it reminds me of, what I was really feeling when I heard it the first time, what I listened to it for now, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's I hate silence. One of my autistic stems is to bob my head, even though there's no music playing. I've always loved music.
So yeah, you're using it as well there. I mean, that's really pretty amazing. And now you referenced autism and some of the mental health issues, and you also with music. What role has Star Wars played in that? Have you used Star Wars as kind of as one of those tools to help you with to work your way through some of the challenges you might face sometimes?
Oh yeah, that's why these lightsabers are on the wall.
Nice. Wow, that is a collection, man.
There's a bunch more over here. There's a bunch more over there actually. But
making my two look like they don't mean a thing.
That's all I collect though. Like
okay.
All I have are lightsabers because that's, like I said, that's what I gravitated toward. It was the Sith in particular, but the Force users. Don't get me wrong, Star Wars is cool and all that, but like I don't know if I'm not as interested in Star Wars if there are no Jedi, no Sith,
right?
No Force wielders. So right. Yeah, I know some people turn their nose up at that, but that to me is like the most impactful part,
Yeah. I think that's what makes Star Wars so universal is the fact that you can, some people loved Rogue One, for example, because there was such a limited number of, like the Force was a minor part of it, and it was a true war movie, right? Star Wars, it was that piece of it. Some people dig it just for the science fiction piece of it. Some love the mysticism and the magic, and that's what's so amazing about Star Wars is it literally has something for everyone. I always reference here on the show. I have an 8-year-old son, and he's all in on Clone Wars. Like the Jedi thing is cool, but like that's his thing, man. He loves the troopers. That's his.
The Clone Wars is the perfect combination of everything. And it's funny because it started as like a throwaway line. Oh, I knew your dad in the Clone Wars, but like the Clone and that TV series brought all that together. And I thought that was, I mean, why isn't Dave Filoni directing a Star Wars movie? I don't understand. Because the Clone Wars came out before those sequel trilogies. I don't understand. There was no plan. You put hundreds of millions of dollars into something you don't have a plan. You could have gave me that money. No. But yeah, like I think I've been a huge Dave Filoni fan before I even knew that he directed Clone Wars, because I also love like Avatar, the show that he came from.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Why hasn't he directed a movie? I heard Taika Waititi's directing one, so that's cool.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of his too. I try not to get emotionally involved, but sometimes I do.
Well, I'm hoping that he's had 2 or 3 episodes of The Mandalorian, so maybe they're grooming him to give him that.
What are we waiting for? I mean, what are we waiting for? You grooming him for what? Ray Skywalker? Oh, okay, sorry. I'm sorry.
Joe, you seem to be very passionate about this, and it's important. That's good.
I'm very passionate about it. I try to be cool. But like, you know how it goes, man. Certain things are just so obvious that it's like, why isn't this happening? So
what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on? I mean, you sort of tipped your hand a little bit on sequels, which is fine. That's also such a hot topic. I tend to be a little bit cagey about getting into that with people, because some people love it, some people like me. I'm like 50-50 on the whole thing, and I have strong opinions on some of it and not on others. But what are your thoughts on things like Mandalorian? I mean, again, such Filoni influence. How did that show strike you as a fan?
So I'm gonna take it back to the sequels real quick.
You're not gonna let me let that go, are you, Joe? This is on you, by the way. At this point, if it goes down, it's
that's fine. My thoughts on the sequels, and this is just like these are my real thoughts. It hurt my feelings when I heard that there was no plan, and it's we got 3 different directors, and we're just throwing it out into the wind, because I obviously have an emotional connection to this.
Sure.
And I'm offered, I get it. We live in a capitalist economy. You got to make money, but we can at least make a good movie while we're making money. Sorry, not a good movie, a cohesive trilogy. Let me say that. And not one that all 3 movies were so reactionary. I don't understand. I just don't understand how you come out with that much money and there's no plan. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I invested a small fraction of that into my music career, and there was a plan. It wasn't like, I'm start learning how to play guitar. Here's $100,000. I'm Bill Skywalker. Okay, but so that was my beef, that there was no cohesive plan.
Right. No, I can't blame you. I mean, my own personal opinion, I'll put it out there. I loved Force Awakens. I thought it was a fun re-entry into the Star Wars world. I liked The Last Jedi as a story. I understand why people didn't dig it completely, and I felt like The Rise of Skywalker was a bit of a just sort of missed opportunities, is the way I look at Rise of Skywalker. I thought there was, but to your point, I think without a cohesive plan, it's hard to make them work together, right? I mean, like you said, even when you're making an album, you're going to go in with a particular plan for the style and which musicians you're going to be using and where you're going to take it. Is it going to be like a concept, or is it going to be a theme, or whatever? You got to put all that together. Yep.
Are you going to take a stormtrooper and turn him into someone who's fighting the stormtroopers, and then put him on the cover until you go to China, and then you take him off the cover? Like that kind of hurt my feelings too.
Yeah.
The way that they handle Finn, like as a black man, like as someone that looks like me, to see, that kind of hurt too.
Sure.
And to hear to hear John Boyega's interviews and to, hear how hurt, especially because he was such a big fan of Star Wars too. And I think more than anything, when you talk about the trilogies, the sequel trilogy, that's what pisses me off the most. Like, you've legitimately taken someone who was a diehard fan, and now when you hear him in the interview, it's just like, fuck Star Wars.
Right. Yeah. No, and I you can totally understand it as well, right? Because of the way it feels like it was, again, without a plan.
Yeah, there was no plan.
Yeah. And then it's I am hoping, it's funny, I think the best thinking or the best perspective was from I had a writer on the show, and he said that one of the things that would have been the best possible thing for the sequel trilogy was not to connect it, not to make it episodes 7, 8, and 9, was to, if they made it just the continuing adventures of Star Wars, because then you weren't tied into needing to have a beginning and an end. You could have ended Rise of Skywalker and then come back in 2 years with maybe Dave Filoni directing, Finn and Rey doing their thing, and that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And it's a really interesting perspective that you brought up there, because you're now in a phase of Star Wars. It's been around for 40 plus years. So you have the people making Star Wars who are Star Wars fans, right? It's like if you or I had an opportunity to do anything on the Star Wars films, it would be, we would be so excited. And so you take Boyega and you put him in the film and you make him, one of the 3 leads, and then sort of let that character fade. It's disappointing. And, I could go all day about the Rise of Skywalker with him saying, Rey, I have something to tell you. And then he didn't tell us, man. I'm still bummed about that, to be honest.
Because there was nothing for him to tell us. They were just trying to keep you interested. I mean, we could start some fan fiction, like, oh, Ray, I have something to tell you. There's a whole new, group of not medium, but line walking Force users. They're not dark side, they're not light side, and I've joined them.
Yeah,
I just came up with that.
They can run with it. Let's call Filoni. We'll get him on the phone. Dave, we got your story.
Dave, don't worry about who this is or how we got your number. Just listen.
I don't want to freak you out, but
I'm sure the 50th people that have called today, but we have the answers.
We figured it out. I could see it, like episode 10, written by Joe Barksdale. There it is. It's like it's gonna happen. Or maybe story by, right? You don't want to have to write the whole script.
You just say observed by Joe Barker. I'm one of those people. I'm gonna talk a whole bunch of shit and then sit back when they ask for help. Would you like to help? Oh, no. I'm
an idea guy.
I just want to talk bad about you. I would love to help though. But once again, the Boyega thing, because someone asked me about that the other day, like, with the music and the comedy and all that. Because people that I look up to, like Bill Burr, they've been in featured in Star Wars things. Oh, is that something you'd ever want to do? And I'm like, honestly, man, not anymore. Because I would hate to have an experience like John's. Because I know I'm however angry he is, and I know I'm way more petty and angry.
Yeah.
But
you said Bill Burr. I think Bill Burr's hilarious. I've seen him perform a couple times, and I hesitate to go here, but I'm going to go anyway. What are your thoughts on like the whole Gina Carano thing? If you want to talk about that, if you don't, we can pass it over. But because Bill Burr gets put into a similar, people are like, Bill Burr's got a very abrasive sense of humor. And he's where he is, and he's excellent at what he does. And he's, like I said, he's one of my favorite comedians. But people say, well, he says things that go against the establishment or whatever. And Carano does a couple tweets and pisses off a lot of people. And honestly,
so I don't read the news.
Okay, you're better off for it, Joe.
So I heard she was removed, but I don't know why.
Yeah, we can skip that part of the conversation because
no, I have an opinion on it. I just want to make sure I'm well informed before I say my opinion. I think that was some bull. Well, Joe, she kidnaps children. Like, I didn't know that. Like,
no, she had some pretty she had some commentary on the presidential election that was supportive of the fixed election concept that was being pushed. She was very anti-mask during a time when we were sort of in the midst of things, and she's got sort of that vaccination paranoia as well. I think I can't speak for sure about that, but she certainly falls into that sort of that extreme side. And she also had she took issues with trans people. So again, but it
That's
wasn't.
the holy trinity of I don't want my job. Like, Jesus, I thought it was just going to be one of those things. I don't want my job. Okay, I'm sorry. I would say this.
But I will say this because people will give me a hard time. You should, I was gonna say you should don't bother researching it. It's all a done deal at this point. But it's interesting because people got so upset because somebody who had, we could, if we take one of that Holy Trinity, and the fact that she was, her contract wasn't renewed, so she wasn't actually fired, but fired makes a much better headline. Her contract wasn't renewed, and people are saying it's because she went against sort of that Hollywood authority, that Hollywood perspective on what you should be doing. And
I think anytime, and I mean, you can look throughout history, which is why we revere so many people in history that stood up for whatever they believed in and why. And, like Martin Luther King, that's one of the reasons, because we look back on it now like, oh, what a brave man. But when these people had dogs sicked on them, crosses burned on their front lawns, family members kidnapped, I'm just trying to vote,
yeah,
that kind of thing. So I think whenever you want to speak about shit, man, I don't know, one, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what you're about to say is going to be controversial before you even say it. So let's start with that.
Right.
I just feel like whenever you start talking about, okay, I'll use myself as an example. Regardless of how anybody else feels about NFL players taking knees during the national anthem, I'm not sitting here saying I took a knee during the national anthem. I am sitting here saying that those NFL players, I can't speak for all of them, but most of them, they did the research. They spoke to Marines and other military members who fought for the same freedoms that people are trying to take from them, but they knew, okay, if I do this protest, I'm speaking out against something I really believe in. I may lose my job. Guess what? People lost their jobs for taking knees. As someone who protested during the national anthem, I knew that, hey, I may lose my job, but I'd rather lose my job than someone that looks like me losing their life because of whatever reason. Or just let's just say someone in general losing their life. Because, people, well, what if it's not someone like you?
Right.
Well, it's not someone like me. And that's why we're taking the knees in the first place. I've never seen a cop put a knee on a man's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds while everyone else stands around that ain't black. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So when I was ready to speak up about it, I knew that I may lose my job. But it was more important to me than my job. And that's part of that freedom of speech piece, right? Like you got the freedom, but there's going to be consequences to anything, So whenever you're ready to speak up about something controversial, the same way those cats like Martin Luther King Jr., those cats are ready to die.
Yeah.
So you damn sure better be ready to lose your job.
That's interesting. And so then let me bring it back to Gina Carano in this case. How to reconcile it in a way. Whatever it was that she was willing to tweet about, which is a lot different than standing at the front of a line where people have guns, by the way. That's a different story. But to tweet about it, to believe in, as batshit crazy as I think her perspectives were, I'm with you in that, if I'm hearing you right, that she did that knowing she was going to lose it. She's got to deal with it, right?
I'm not saying she knew she was going to lose her job, but I'm saying if you're going to talk about anything controversial, don't just think you're going to go to sleep and wake up and everything's going to be the same.
That's fair. Yep. And it's that sort of risk you take, right? If you're willing to, if it's something that you care that much about, you got to be willing to accept whatever the consequences are in that field. If you work for Disney and you're going to get out there and be anti-mask or compare being a Republican to being Jewish during Nazi Germany as she did.
What?
Josie, I'm telling you, you're better off. Stay out of Star Wars Twitter. Just focus on your music, man. Focus.
Jewish during Nazi Germany. If you're a Republican, you know what? I don't think the Jews stormed any of the concentration camps after the election, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Like, what?
Stay off of Star Wars Twitter, man. You're so much better off. Trust me. It's a weird world. It's a
I'm
weird
not gonna
world.
lie to you. If I'm Jewish, that alone is like, oh, you gotta get the fuck out. Like, what?
No kidding, man.
That's just like when women are like, Karen is just as bad as saying the N-word. The fact that you won't say the N-word lets me know that it's not as bad as saying the N-word.
They don't call it the K word, Joe.
Yeah. No one was ever lynched and it's like, oh, that dirty Karen. Like, no, that's never happened. I understand you feel attacked. I understand you feel like you need some defense. And I'm going to tell you to just go to your room and pray because you're not going to get it from these people you tweet to. All right? Go talk to Jesus. Like, don't talk to me.
Joe, I was going to ask you about your comedy routines and your comedy career, but man, I see where it's coming from. Man. But you're not wrong. But that's the whole thing. It's like, and I think maybe that's the weird thing in the Star Wars connection here, right? I'm going to try to pull it around back somehow there, but it's, I don't know how I'm going to do it, Joe. I don't know how I'm going to get there now. Like, we're not off the rails. We're like, we went off the hill. We're like rolling down. Cars
going to
explode.
Those are the movies that people watch. People don't watch the movie where you just stay on the rails. Oh, this is fantastic. And then what happens? Oh, the train's out of juice. Oh my God, is that a giant? Like, you know. But like, as someone who's like, my religious theological beliefs are based on someone that spoke up about. And I'm just saying this as objectively as possible. As someone who spoke up about what they saw as the right way, people didn't dig it. He was murdered, crucified outside of a city.
Yeah.
I mean, even when you talk about that, like, I think people think that Jesus was just chilling one day. People just came up like, you get crucified, buddy, get on the cross.
Like it's not because they didn't like his hair. They were like, this guy's causing trouble, right?
Jesus was a controversial figure. No matter, like, if you look at it objectively, that you're not killing someone that's not making waves.
This is true. So again, it's back to Gina. Like, all right, so and I'm with you on this concept. I don't know where you're coming down this whole thing necessarily, but if you're going to get out there and say something like that, so if I went online and took such a strong opinion about anything, whatever it is, I need to be prepared for what that's going to bring, knowing full well, especially in the and let's put it in politics mostly now, because that's where this world is the most volatile, right? Is because everything's political. Every opinion you have, if somebody just called me a male feminist, like it was an insult. Like, okay, yeah, no, I believe that women should have the same rights as men. Is that a bad thing? That's cool.
Oh.
I'm fine with that. But
now let me ask you this.
Yeah. Joe, I asked the questions here, but go ahead.
So you said you believe that women should be equal in everything.
Okay.
So if I ran in the street right now and snuck a dude because he pissed me off, like when I say sneak him, like, run up on him, just, punch him, knock him out because he made me angry. It's like, yeah, that's manly. He shouldn't have been talking about your mom like that.
No, that's different than believing in equal rights, equal pay for women.
No, but I'm just asking. So if it's equal rights, equal pay.
Yeah.
And I'm just asking, this is more of a hypothetical question. Let's just say tomorrow that everything became equal.
Right.
Is it okay to hit a woman if she throws a drink in your face?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Because like if I threw a drink in your face,
right?
Let's be honest. I don't know the size discrepancy. I may get stabbed. Like, you're not gonna punch me. You're gonna use a weapon. Like,
I'm about 50 pounds lighter than you and about 6 inches later. So yeah, I'm not gonna punch you, but I'm
gonna limp out of that club.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a little uncomfortable maybe, but yeah, it's a great question because no, I don't think you should hit women, but I also don't think you should be. Yeah, I'm sort of anti-violent, and that's such a cop out, isn't it? On my part, I'm giving you a cop out answer, but no,
I'll give you my answer.
Yeah, I mean, I would feel wrong if I didn't give you mine. I mean, I still think there's a difference because men and women are equal in pay and in opportunity. But I do feel like the reality is, you're a 6'5" guy, even the biggest, well, even Gina Carano, who's a professional wrestler, you're still bigger than her, right? Or not professional, she MMA. You're still bigger than her, and there's still a physical difference. So I think
I think it's
that,
philosophical. Like just because I'm bigger than you, if you, I
right,
mean, we're a bigger
same
country
reason,
than Japan. They
right.
bombed Pearl Harbor. Sorry, but like, you know what I'm saying?
I'm realizing I'm giving a really bad answer. So what's your answer?
My answer is that that's part of equality. That's part of gender equality. Like,
Yeah.
if when because it's heading that way. When we get to a point as a society where it's deemed, because like you were talking about feminists earlier, some feminists, they'll get mad at you when you hold the door for them and when you
This is
try
true.
to shake their hands gently, that kind of thing. So I do think that's, like if everything else is equal, we can't. Everything's equal except this one area right here.
It's a great point, and I think it's because. So I'm 51 years old, so I bring sort of, I'm still like in that different traditional zone. So it's hard, and I think that's, I had a guest couple last week who said that where the biggest conversations in politics are whether or not you maintain a traditionalist perspective on things. That's sort of the root of a lot of political differences. And so yeah, like it's funny. Yeah, I still hold the door and would expect to, but I'm starting to understand. I have an 11-year-old daughter. I'm starting to understand her perspectives on things are, I will say things and not even realize I'm saying them. And she'll be like, what is it? Cause I'm a girl? I'm like, I didn't mean that, but yeah, maybe that's why I said it. So it's an interesting.
And so that's the thing. I got 2 daughters too. And my thing would just be, look, I'm not going to tell you what to do and what not to do. I'm just telling you, if you want to act crazy, you want to hit people, you want to do crazy things in public, don't be surprised when someone does something crazy back. That's it. Like, that's where I'm at with it. Like, because if you're a woman that's not going out in public slapping dudes and what'd you say? Like, this ain't a movie from the 90s about a prostitute that marries somebody. Okay, I'm sorry.
But it's a really great point too, because you're right. Like where does that line?
And I'll say this too. Bill Burr says some wild shit. He ain't never said nothing that crazy. Like Republicans are Jews in Germany occupy. Oh yeah, nah.
Yeah, no, she was trying to make the point that, if you're a Republican with a perspective, you're as cast out as Jewish people, not which is as that you can't say anything crazier than that. Yeah,
that's wild. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think if you're a Republican or a Democrat that thinks that you are a Jewish person in Nazi occupied Germany, like I'm gonna need a lot more suppression of those people to happen before that even crosses your. It's like you can't. Not only are you just horribly wrong, but like as a Jewish person, I'm offended because now I feel like you making not light of the Holocaust, but like, come on now.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think that's where that comes from, right? And interestingly, like you were saying before, like, the N-word versus Karen, right? Like, don't make that. There's no connection there at all.
People just try to make everything. They try to keep it separate but equal. I'm just playing. I'm sorry.
Joe right now is going to go talk to his guy and be like, why did you have me on this podcast, man? We did not talk Star Wars for more than 5 minutes before the guy went nuts on me.
I dig really cool conversation.
Yeah, that's good. That's cool. Yeah. But it's a crazy and interesting time. And the reason I brought it up is because of the fact that there are people who want to make these, they try to apply it then to your Star Wars perspective. And it's interesting because like even the sequels, if you don't like the sequels, then you hate something, or if you, and at the end of the day, I think people need to, and to bring it back to even to music and even to comedy, like if you like a particular, your entertainment is always going to be influenced by the world, right? I mean, your music is influenced by your personal world, but it's also, stuff you're listening to, stuff that's impacting you. Good movies have some sort of connection to the real world, and so you don't need to be hit over the head with whatever that message is, but it's in there, right? I mean, Star Wars, it's in there. It's making you think about good and evil, whether, it's true or not that George tied it to the Vietnam War or not, or or whatever it is, like there's always going to be that sort of input. And then,
but that's the thing. The Vietnam War influenced a lot of great art during that time. In the 70s.
Man, yeah.
Marvin Gaye's What's Going On?
Yeah.
Vietnam War. Richard Pryor was doing his comedy. Dick Gregory. What's my man's name? Lenny Bruce.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was just saying that to say maybe it was.
But it probably, I mean, George has said it. He's on record as having said it, but it's that point that what was my point, Joe? It was this concept that it is Star Wars right now is there's this group of Matthew, who's actually watching us, one of our patrons right now. He says, ask Joe his thoughts on gatekeepers. So people who have this belief that, hey, this is my Star Wars. If you don't, the new Star Wars is bad because it's ruined my childhood, that kind of concept. You didn't love all the sequels, clearly. I mean, we just talked a little bit about some of those issues. Does it change your opinion of Star Wars and or people who are fans of the sequels? Do you look at them any differently?
No. I mean, I will say no, because the only person whose opinion really matters when it comes to Star Wars is the creator. It's George Lucas. We can sit around and talk about it forever. We ain't make Star Wars. And all we doing is, looking over George's shoulder. Hey, I think you need to, and I think it'd be great if, So I think that's part of it. But when it comes to gatekeepers, I'm a big believer that there's going to be assholes everywhere. And you got to surround yourself with the right kind of people. You know what I mean? Because like you're someone that I would obviously talk Star Wars with. I'm not getting on social media and, what you guys are? First of all, because I don't care. Second of all, because of that, like people that try to ruin everybody else's fun because they don't like what's going on. Most of those people, they're probably birthday month people. April's my birthday month, and from April 1st to April, we're going to celebrate. And it's like, but anyway, that's what I think it is. It's like, I don't like this. You shouldn't like this. We don't like this. And it's like, nah, you don't like this.
Right.
Like if someone was talking bad about tequila, I'm not going to stop drinking.
Well, that's just like the perspective I always bring to it is, like I was a big Metallica fan, like when they first came out, and I still am a big fan of the band. But the last couple albums, I have not enjoyed. They have not been my type of Metallica. What I love about them, but I'm not on social media telling people that if you like Saint Anger, you are not a Metallica fan. That's not Metallica. That's not. I mean, I still have the first 4 or 5 albums, or 3 or 4 albums that I love. They're like sacred to me in a way. And the other ones are
really good albums.
They are.
I listen to a lot of Metallica when I work out. They're really good albums.
Yeah, they're awesome. And they're perfect for working out. But like, I'm not going to give somebody a hard time if they like the new stuff, because that's cool. That means more fans, man. Because of those people, they're still touring. And because the people who like Star Wars now, we're getting new stuff on Disney Plus every couple months. I mean, is that a bad thing?
Dumbass? Being a gatekeeper is just as stupid as saying, oh, look at that guy's skin color. I don't like him because of it. It's just as stupid.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can put it. A gatekeeper is like a German Shepherd dog that doesn't like any other breeds.
Yep.
Like you think about it, like as I'm saying it, like that sounds ridiculous, and that's what gatekeepers are. They're ridiculous. They're not going to keep you. Look, I tell you what, they can keep all the gates they want. You show up to Disneyland trying to get a Star Wars ticket, they ain't going to stop you from
That's right. Exactly.
You show up to Sabi's workshop, they ain't going to be waiting outside like, no, you don't get to build a lightsaber. Like, no. If anything, they probably get beat the hell up by everybody else there. Because Star Wars fans have a lot of hidden aggression now.
It's true, Joe. It's why I work out, because I would be really angry if I didn't, man.
Yeah. And that's the thing. People need to come to terms with the fact that, like, because no one came out like that. When I say came out of the womb,
right?
Like, I'm sure some people were probably cloned, but no one came out of the tube like that. But, no one came out like that. Like,
yeah.
It's really just this whole thing of, and I know this is getting into the therapy mental health side, but like hurt people.
Mm.
This,
yeah. I love that phrase, hurt people, because it's true. I think, when you look at, there's, again, it sounds like you're very wise about where you hang out in social media and where you hang out online. So you're not exposed to a lot of this stupidity. And I urge you to stay in this
Now, I used
spot
to
where you
be,
did.
when I was
Yeah.
playing football, I was.
Okay. So yeah, did you watch social media about you and your team and
It
that
was
sort of
just
thing?
more like no matter what you would post, if you were losing, it's like, I'm just making something up. Oh, happy
Yeah.
birthday to my daughter. You motherfuckers are 0-4. Your daughter should kill herself.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like, it's my daughter's birthday. She, like people, or like, when I was, sometimes you'd even hear it from the stands. Like, I remember one time I broke my knee near the end of my career at a home game.
Yeah.
And I heard "Get Up Nigger" from 3 different parts of the stadium.
Jeez.
I'm like,
Wow.
what? It's 2019,
Yeah.
Shit, am I gonna have to go into the back of the training room this time? Okay, I'm sorry. But
it's wild. And you know what I think I don't, so you grew up in Detroit and you got West Coast, you have East Coast, and I say this all the time. I look, I'm a white male. I'll admit I've won the genetic lottery, right? People don't give me shit for anything for walking into a store or doing all the stuff that other people have to deal with, right? So, but I look at it and I look at where we live and I look at this great opportunity because I'm so hopeful that my kids are, because I live on the East Coast, we have access to all kinds of people, all their friends. It's like it truly is still a melting pot here in the East Coast and on the West Coast and these places. But all this anger and aggression coming from places where people are still feeling like something's being pushed on them, whether it's sex, a feminist agenda in Star Wars, or something on I don't know, on their favorite team. I don't know. Like it's a weird way to live. I don't understand it, and maybe I'm lucky because I've thought about it enough. I don't know.
well, that's the difference. I think a lot of people don't think about it. Like you just said it. Like I thought about it. I don't think a lot of people, they just heard. They don't even like. There have been times. Now, granted, I have a special relationship with my emotions because I don't really understand them because of autism. That's where I am on the spectrum. But I still ask myself why I feel a certain way sometimes. Even if I don't know, I still try to identify the emotions. I'm not just, like, for example, if you're one of those people, I used to be one of those people like, oh, I don't even get optimistic anymore. That way I can never be let down. It's like, well, where does this feeling, what emotion is driving this? It's obviously some kind of pain. What are you hurt about? Even when you talk about anger, something you hurt, anger is a response to, it's a response. It's not, you don't just wake up angry,
right.
So I think, like you said, I think, and people try to speak, and once again, I know I'm going to the mental health thing. People try to talk all the time about therapy and how, like, I couldn't do therapy. If we're going to be 100% honest, it takes a special type of bravery to really look deep into yourself and come to terms with the things that you've been like trying not to for the past however many years. It's okay to just say, like, therapy's not for me. You don't have to, I'm down in therapy. Like the movies, the Star Wars stuff. Hey, this was not for me.
Yep.
Shit, Rogue One was not for me until the end when Darth Vader came through with the lightsaber in the hall,
Right.
Then it became the greatest movie of all time. No, but Rogue One was cool. I would say, like, Rogue One just has certain cliches, like Forrest Whitaker's character. I will run no longer. Bro, we got at least a good 20 minutes. You don't need to stay. Like,
I'm so glad. Thank you for
Whitaker,
bringing that up. I've never brought that up before. Like, I've talked about Star Wars so much over the last couple of years. It's been insane. And I've never talked about that, but I'm with you. Like, dude, you got time. It's not like your leg is broken. There's something laying on top of you.
Just typical black dad. Just leave him alone. I'm just typical ain't shit daddy. I tell you what, he'd have been back if she made it to the draft. No, would have had the hat on and everything. The Los Angeles Sparks, baby, we made it. Where you been the last 18 years, Dad? I did that for you so you can get stuff. The force has been with you. Get out So there you go, comedy too.
I'm going to jump on my Photoshop and I'm going to grab like a rebel hat and I'm going to put it on Forrest Whitaker. That's my girl. That's my girl.
That's my girl. Now, the first pick, the resistance select, you just see him in the background. So, Jen, how does it feel? Like, who is that man that's just so excited? I don't know who the hell that is. Let's get out of here.
Oh man. Rogue One draft pick. That's what it is.
Rogue One ST round draft pick. Rogue first round.
Oh man. Oh, dude, I'm so glad you're doing comedy because it's good stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, and all this is just off the cuff. I haven't even read any material yet.
Well, I think you just wrote something. I'll send you the tape. You can take this and run with it.
I would definitely do some, like, if that would be pretty cool, like doing a stand-up thing just around Star Wars.
Yeah. You should do it at Star Wars Celebration. It's going to be in Anaheim next year. You should be there.
They kick my ass out there. So I'm here to do it. Who the hell are you?
You just say, hey, I was on Around the Galaxy. And they're going to say, who? What?
No.
Oh, that guy? No, we don't want that guy.
We're like, oh, yeah, come on in, you know? What about my friend Joe? Oh, no.
Not him.
There's enough color in the galaxy right now. No, I'm just...
See, I think Boyega would not be happy with that point of view.
Why not? I think Boyega would have laughed at that. He would probably, how that's hilarious. But what's really funny is how these angry right afterward. But I think he would have laughed at that.
No, I think he would have laughed at that. I think he would have, yeah.
Hey, John, you want to hang back for a minute, buddy? Look, we just noticed, we talked to George, there are no basketball courts in the galaxy. No one shoots dice. I don't know, man. Well, what about Lando? I mean, look, we get one every 3 decades, all right? So just sit here in this stormtrooper outfit. We'll figure it out. Next movie comes around. Well, what am I supposed to be doing? Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. Next movie comes. Hey, go kill all the stormtroopers that you knew before with no remorse. Right?
See, there you go. That's the story problem right there. 100%.
Like the third movie was really the second movie was really Finn. His arc was like, oh damn, war is bad, and I thought he figured that out in the first movie when he decided to leave the clone troop.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. And then the third movie is like, but fuck it, I'm gonna shoot everybody anyway.
Kill them all. You watch Rick and Morty by any chance?
Oh yeah, I love Rick and Morty.
Remember when it was last season's last episode, like. Blow them all up. It's just like Star Wars. Give them a little yeehaw. Yeehaw. Because that's how Star Wars, you're killing thousands of people. It's all the explosions, the mystery, the artisticness of it all,
Nope, but we're literally blowing up planets, like entire planets.
I'm not going to lie. I love, I identify with the Sith and everything.
Yeah.
And they believe in slavery. I don't know why I just said that. I don't know what that had to do with anything. Now Joe Barksdale believes in slavery. Now I am
great. There it is. There's the tweet. There it is.
Joe Barksdale, quote, I'm looking for revenge on Around the Galaxy podcast.
How did this happen?
This
music career was going great. Comedy was starting to happen for me.
And then this
on this show, and jeez, it all fell apart. That's all right. I'll let
Look, you got Gina's number? I'm sorry.
I'll edit this down to like a minute and a half. It'll be fine.
What's this, a trailer? Look, man, we'll give the Patreons access to this. That's the only way you can hear it. I need to know you invested in me, all right? I need to know you here. I'm not putting this out there for everybody.
If you want the good stuff, you got to pay for it.
You could make this an exclusive. People will probably be so pissed, but you could make this an exclusive interview. I'm just saying. Or we could have like a quick 10-minute discussion about Star Wars. Now, if you want to know what happened the other hour and a half, I'm gonna need $15. Like, here's my Venmo, my Cash App, my Bank of America. Log in. Just send me the monies. And I also need you to sign this non-disclosure form.
No screen caps, no audio, nothing.
None of that.
What's that? I'll Bitcoin it or something.
There you go.
I don't even know what the hell Bitcoin is, to be honest with you. I don't know how it works. I don't want to know. It's a little scary. So, Joe, I do.
I don't want to know before you can tell me about it.
Yeah, no, I don't even want to know. I'm just telling you right now, Joe. I'm 50 years old. I don't care about Bitcoin. I don't get it.
It's funny. I know about it. I get it, and I don't care. So I don't know. I mean, you're in good company. So neither of us give a flying, flipping, Flandalorian fudge cracker. Some Star Wars curse words for you there. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm so happy we had this conversation. This is great. Do you want? I have right here in my hand. I have a 10 question segment where I ask you sort of like 10. No, but they're like Star Wars questions now.
No. I started laughing because I remember, like, you sent those. I was like, oh yeah, he did send those. I'm sorry. Have we gone too far?
No, hey, listen. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm hoping that my show goes a little bit beyond Star Wars, and this went way beyond it, which is awesome.
Okay, yeah, we started out on Dagobah, we ended in Georgia. Like, how do we get to Earth? Earth exists? Like, yeah, but yes, it's fun. It's warp speed.
All right, I'm going to do this 10 question thing. It's like inside the actor studio. You can give short answers, you can give long answers. You can do whatever you want. Look, I'm not going to judge you on the answers, but somebody will. I guarantee it. So, and I'm going back to
listening. If you judge me, I don't care.
No, he doesn't care. I don't care. That's why I love having people like Joe on the show, because I don't care. Judge away, man. You know what? I was talking to somebody I was texting with a friend of mine the other day, and we were talking about how people are like so concerned about, trying to make sure that they think about how is this going to be perceived. That's a hard way to live your life, right? To like really think all those extra steps in the chess game of life. Just be yourself, just have fun. And if people don't like it,
people just need to be more comfortable with themselves. You listening to this, you need to be more comfortable with yourself. Because if you were, you wouldn't be trying to put up this facade.
100%. Totally agree with that.
And I think more people need to understand that nobody cares.
It's true.
So like you hear people, I will go to the gym, but people man, them people ain't staring at you. They ain't come to the gym to look at you. They came to the gym to get themselves together, and they probably think you staring at them.
It's right.
It's true. I would pursue this passion, but I don't know. I'm gonna tell you right now, as a former professional athlete that went into music, spoiler alert, it does not work out well for us.
Yeah, it's a tougher game, right?
You can't care. If I cared, I'd probably still be doing music. I'd probably be a little bit more hurt though, because every time I play music for people who knew I played sports and hadn't heard the music, the first response is, "Hey, this is actually good."
Right?
Come on, bro, what you?
Right. Yeah. I read, I think it was an interview with you, or maybe it was a tweet or something, where you said something like, you might notice that I don't talk a lot about the football thing. It's probably, I didn't quite understand it at first, but it's probably because you don't want people to start there, right? You don't want people to be like, this guy,
Football was never in my, like, football for me I started out in engineering. So this is where all the nerd stuff comes in. So I started out in engineering. Like, I had engineering scholarships and everything. Mm-hmm. I went to this engineering camp. I wasn't diagnosed autistic till like a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. But I ended up getting kicked out of this camp for what I know now was just autistic, like not knowing the situation, that kind of thing.
Right.
I needed something to do over the summer. So after berating me and making me feel like, life would be better if I didn't exist, my parents were like, well, you got to get out the house and do something. You can't just sit in here all day. I'm like, well, I recently seen Remember the Titans. I'm a really big believer. I've always been a big believer in the human race. As in, just like we're all human beings. If the aliens touch down tomorrow, we all sitting at the same lunch counter in the 60s now. But you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I even have jokes about the civil rights movement. Like, we'll go into that later. They're not bad jokes. It's just more like I look at it from different points of view that people would never think. Like when Martin Luther King was assassinated, like they had to check out of that hotel. What if Martin Luther King was the one that was supposed to pay for it? Are you going to rob a dead man to pay for your room? Like, how does that work? The movement is alive, and so is this room service order. Can you put that up now? I'm sorry.
Now I know why you like Bill Burr, because that's like let's have some fun with darkness in times, I guess. I don't know. It's to your point, like, you got to be yourself, like, and I think if everybody's real, you do laugh at things that some other people might be like, that's not something, and if you don't laugh at it, that's cool. That's not your joke. But again, it's just like Star Wars or music, right? I didn't love The Rise of Skywalker. All right, wasn't for me. I'll move on. That's cool. I didn't like your joke. All right, that's fine. You're not a bad person. I just didn't like it. So
I'm not gonna stand on this hill and try to demonize you. Did y'all hear what the fuck he just said about Martin Luther King? I'm sorry. Can I curse on this podcast?
You absolutely can.
Okay, I was trying to avoid the F-bomb. Like, I hadn't dropped all the other words.
I had Charlie Benante, who was the drummer from Anthrax, on last year, and it was so funny because I did put a disclaimer at the front, because sometimes some people listen to it, because I've had all kinds of guests. And Charlie emailed me afterwards. He's like, "Man, I had no idea I said that word so often." I was like, "Yeah, it's all good, man. It's all good.
It's all good." They cursed in Star Wars. Somebody, Dank Ferrick. All right.
Hey, there you go. See, all right, that's awesome. All right, I'm gonna get to these 10 questions here. They're just. I'm like, it's just one person, and I'm trying to herd the cats here. It's awesome. I love it.
Honestly, that's why the comedy works, because all these people come out on stage too.
Yeah, that's great. Now, are you I just saw you're doing some. Is it a charity performance you got coming up? I thought I saw it somewhere on Twitter.
Oh, no, this is my first real big time comedy performance. My first feature spot.
Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. So I'm doing 15 minutes. And the show sold out, so
that's great.
It's this Saturday, and it sold out. So we're doing Saturday and Sunday now. So I'm gonna kill, like, on the stage, like do very well. I'm not gonna
You're not
okay. Yes, but no. but yeah, I can actually send you the audio for it.
Oh, that'd be great.
You want? Okay,
I would love that.
Get your number before we log off. Actually,
yeah,
put it in the chat so everyone can have it.
Yeah, I'll just. My personal mailing address, and it'd be great. I won't get any letters or threats, which would be great. But that's great though. I'm excited for you, man. And again, it's it's funny. It's like, I think people who like have any sort of creative outlet, like I mean, I write, I play music. I'm not funny enough to go on stage, but I do enjoy. I love, like, laughing and that sort of thing.
Don't ever say that to you. Don't ever say that about. Don't limit yourself. Because I'm gonna tell you, as someone who's been at these open mics, you don't know how. Look, man, because and this is just me being objective. There are people who show up to open mics and get no laughs, like, are shitty, and they book gigs.
Yeah.
So you got to be funnier than them, is what I'm saying.
All right. Well, that's it. This weekend, I'm going to the open mic. I'm bringing my 15 minutes, and I'm going. Actually, I get 5 minutes, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm about to say, I think you only get 5 minutes.
I don't even know if I'm going to get 5, Joe. They're going to be like, "Oh, no."
Comedians are usually supportive of new comedians until they find out they suck. And then after that, it's like.
How did you decide that you wanted, I mean, other than the fact that you're just clearly naturally funny off the cuff, like, what made you decide I'm going to do the comedy thing?
COVID. My wife, well, my teammates have been telling me since high school, college, the NFL, like, I was always, one of the funniest cats in the room. But what people didn't know was that comedy was always like a shield for my emotions and how I really felt. Like, my therapist, I got an appointment with my therapist in an hour, and she'll tell you, like, we'll get into talking about something, real deep or painful. Boom, jokes, more jokes.
Yeah.
And it's like, and they're actually funny jokes, it's always been a defense mechanism for me. And I think too, like, growing up how I did, and even now with the mental illnesses and autism and that kind of stuff, if I didn't know how to laugh, I'd be dead. Yeah. Shit, I know how to laugh, and I was still almost dead a couple times. Like, I tried a couple times, so.
Yeah.
But COVID happened. Couldn't perform with music. I mean, you're making music and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And I'm like, shit, ain't nothing else going on. And I went to a comedy show, and this, actually, I can tell you this happened. I went to a comedy show in January of this year. Mm-hmm. The headliner was so bad. Headliner was a black dude. He did so bad that I was embarrassed to be black by the time he was done. And I'm going to tell you, I've only been embarrassed to be black a couple times. Another time I was embarrassed We were in London, England, playing
Right.
a game against the Patriots. One of my teammates walks up to the woman on the counter and says, "Hey, the TV. There's something wrong with the TV, man. It's in this weird language." And the woman behind the counter is like, "Oh, I can help you out. Is it in Japanese? Chinese? Is it Korean? Because they got all the languages over there in London on the TV."
Yep.
And he's like, "No, it's English. It's just this weird accent, like they're saying it wrong." And I'm like, did we just come to the Mecca of the English language and tell them that they're saying it wrong? This is why people don't help us fight the terrorists. Like this is why. Like this is why people get mad when people start protesting for Black lives. Because of people like you. Like there's even Black comedians like Black Lives Matter, but do they all? Like, and these are Black comedians saying this. Like, do they all? Because I got a cousin who ain't shit. Like. But that's what happened. He did so bad that I was like, "Oh, this dude's fucking terrible." Richard Pryor's probably rolling over his grave right now. Right. Well, as much as he can because of the MS. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But and I was like, I legitimately, the thought in my head was like, I could do better than this today.
Yeah.
I went to an open mic the next day and I actually did do better than that guy. And that was in February and it's July. The power of autism. You can pick it up fast.
Yeah, you could. So do you have do you find that, did you have trouble learning skills or did you just pick things up real quick? If you is it like things you liked? I'll get real personal here, and I will probably edit this out of the audio version. But my son right now is dealing he's 8 years old. He's having trouble picking up on things. I think he might be dyslexic, but the things that he wants to do, man, he's great at it. Like he's a superstar at it. Is that
I'm the same way? I'm the exact same way. Like if I don't want to do, my wife she'll even know. Like I'll ask her something. She's like, if you want to do it, because if you don't want to do it, we know how that's gonna go.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, if I want to do it, like I even know how to fight with a lightsaber. You want to see one of my lightsabers?
Yeah, sure.
I got this from Saberforge. It was modeled after Star Killers from but yeah. Okay, cool. It's on.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a Plector pixel, so it looks like a real lightsaber.
Oh, that looks great. Does it is it one of the ones you could use to battle or no? Like could you, because they have the different kinds, right?
But I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't trust people. Because you can do your little battle, but some people out there swinging like they're real lightsabers. It's like, hey, bro,
I'm gonna chop your head off. I'm coming at you.
Yeah, like I got a taser on me too now. These lightsabers wasn't cheap.
So how many lightsabers do you have? 1, roughly.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, about 31, 32.
Holy cow. Wow. That's your collection though, man. That's what you collect, right? I mean, you can see I got the helmets. That's my thing. And
yeah,
everybody
has always been too big. I would collect helmets too if I had this weird ass body. One size fits most. One size fits most.
You're the one that's not in the most, right?
Exactly. Hey, would you like this Kylo Ren helmet? No, I don't want to hate myself today, right?
I would like it, yes, but is it going to fit? No.
That thing will come down to probably about right here. Are you Kylo Ren's specially able brother? I am. Kylo Ren with a handicap sticker. Okay, I'm done.
Parking his fighter in the blue spots at the mall. See, now you got me doing it. Now you're getting me. Now my audience is going to hate me now. Not just you. They're going to hate me too. Nobody's going to hate anybody.
Nobody's going to hate anybody. And if they do, fuck them.
There's the tagline. Yeah. There's the tagline to the show right there.
Yeah. Fuck them. Like, anything you do is going to piss somebody off. Because even if you step outside the Star Wars fan base, there's people... you like Star Wars? Yeah, I do like Star Wars. All right. I'm sorry your daddy wasn't at home with you. Don't take it out on me.
You would have loved it, by the way. I just can tell. But now you'll never know.
Now you'll never know because we're gonna box. No.
All right, I'm going to hit you with these questions. What
Okay.
I'm just jumping in now, Joe. I'm taking as little control as I have left of this
Okay.
show right now.
I am so sorry.
So again, hey, don't be sorry. This has been like one of the most entertaining hours I've had in quite some time.
Okay.
What is your favorite Star Wars movie, TV show, or book?
Oh, the Clone Wars. It's not even a question. Wait, I can choose the whole series, right?
You can choose.
Okay.
Yep.
The Clone Wars. Like, Dave, we love you so much. Don't ever change. Stay golden, pony boy. Stay golden.
Did you watch it from the start, or did you like? I missed like the first couple seasons. Actually, I didn't start watching it until it came back to Netflix. Actually, because it just was not on my radar at the time.
So we are the same. I found out about the new season that was coming out, the season 7, and that's when I started watching it.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're the same in that because I missed it too. Like I don't watch much TV or anything like that, but I heard a bunch of my friends talking about it. Kevin actually brought it up too. And I'm like, oh, check it out.
It's great, and it's one of those things that's just you can't believe how much lore and story is packed into every one of those shows. It's so good. It's so much fun,
and they do a really good job of like just doing it artistically. The whole show not tell, like we talked about, and combining everything. It's like, oh look, there's a Jedi. I mean, I think I could be 100% wrong, but I believe that the Clone Wars was like at least some pleasing amalgamation of what George Lucas thought that they were when he first wrote that line in the movie.
Yeah.
Now, these are just my thoughts, opinions. Don't cancel me.
No, and it's interesting too because I always talk about how because I saw it in 1977. And I remember my dad and I talking about like, what was this Clone Wars thing? Like that we like got into that line. And, if you made a movie now, he would say, my father didn't fight in the Clone Wars. And then there'd be like this 10-minute, like a montage of the Clone Wars.
Flashback.
But it was so much more impactful that way. And to your point, the style is so cool. Like that took me a little bit of time to get into was the style. Years ago when I first saw, pictures and stuff from it, but it's really cool. I mean, and are you watching Bad Batch as well? Did you stop watching it? Did you get to a point where
it just got to a point where I wasn't even looking forward to the next episode? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's a bad show. It's just like we talked about. Like I'm interested in, the clones, but not this interested. Like I'll be back. I will watch the season finale for sure.
Right. You'd be cool if somebody was like, so yesterday on Bad Batch, this is what happened. You'd be like, all right,
can you tell me what happened actually?
Yeah. so far. If you listen to my show, Disturbances in the Force, every Saturday morning, I give it like a 2-minute synopsis of every episode as part of my news show.
Perfect.
So you just listen. You don't even need to watch it. You just listen, and you're good. You're cool.
No, I said that's going to be how I watch it.
Oh, okay. Good. Excellent.
Get my 2 minutes in and keep it moving,
That's right. Yep.
But I will say, I do dig the show.
Yeah.
And obviously I love Star Wars. And I don't have beef with the show. I mean, if I'm being completely transparent, there's just no Jedi or Sith, and I'm kind of like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you said that at the outset, right? That's your Star Wars. That's your thing. Yeah. And if it's not there, it's not there. So that's totally cool.
But I'll still talk Bad Batch with anybody, like the episodes I have seen, because some people like we talked about. Oh, you don't like the Bad Batch? Get them off the show. Get out of here. We're done. Thanks for showing up, everybody. Like,
yeah, but and again, that's like Resistance. A lot of people love Resistance. I actually interviewed the guy who played Kaz on the show, and I tried my best. I never got into it. I did. I really did. But
oh my God. I don't know what it is about I tried my best. Whatever you because I have a joke about that. Like pretty much something bad happened and I'm like, man, I felt really bad because like I tried my best. Like I tried my best, to give a fuck and I just couldn't. Like,
that's exactly it, Joe. You got the read. You got the read from it. That's perfect.
Yeah. And I haven't seen it, but based on that, I tried my best. I don't think I'm gonna see it.
That's not a ringing endorsement. Like you're not gonna see that on like the DVD box. They're gonna be like Resistance. I tried my best, Pete Fletzer. That's not gonna make the
we should definitely create like a fake movie poster or something. And that should like I tried my best in quotation around the galaxy. like something that everyone universally loves, like Revenge of the Sith. I tried my best. Actually, that could be a shirt. I tried my best.
It's going to be a shirt, and I'm going to send you one. And you're gonna... If TeePublic makes a shirt for dudes your size, I'll send it to you.
I've actually gotten down to a 2XL.
All right.
I'm tired of being I got tired of wearing 3Xs. I don't know, like being an offensive lineman, everybody expects you to be fat. It's like you get tired of the big fat sloppy.
Man, all right. So
question 2.
Yeah, let's get. This is thank you for coming to the last ever episode of Around the Galaxy. No, so question 2 is: what is your favorite non-Star Wars movie?
About Time. Okay. It's either About Time or Hocus Pocus. One of those two. I know. Two.
The Hocus Pocus, like the movie with Bette Midler.
That's right.
Okay.
That's
all right.
I love Matthew said that's what should be on the box for the original Star Wars holiday special. Hey man, I don't know who you I don't know who you are, but you good people, man. I like you. Shout out to Matt. I don't even know if you like me calling you Matt. Shout out to Matthew.
Now he's Matt from Enid is his Twitter. So Matt's cool with him. I'm sure it's cool.
Shout out to you, Matt. But if I had to pick one, I would say About Time, just because I think as a movie, I know I already said there's no such thing as perfect, but when you talk about the way that they blend the comedy and the emotions and the plot, I think in my eyes it's airtight, and it's just well put together. You can tell everyone in it took it seriously. It made me cry.
Yeah.
But so does my wife. So I don't know how I'm just.
You better say she's perfectly put together. That's all I'm saying. You gotta. But it's About Time. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pull it up this weekend and check it out because I haven't seen it in a while. So
actually, the reason General Hux is the lead actor.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I know my wife dug that movie as well. So cool.
That one's for you, Matthew. I'm just giving you a little bit of Star Wars trivia. If anybody ever asks.
Right. Name the actor in both About Time and Star Wars. Now, Matt, he's going to bring that up at the bar tonight. He's going to go out. He's going to bring that up. He's going to win himself a free drink.
He's going to trick somebody into thinking it's John Boyega. Yeah. See the janitor in About Time? Like John Boyega, uncredited role. Some random. You see the bellhop, the barkeep, Okay, I'm done.
Okay. Question 3 is: are you an Imperial or Rebel?
Imperial.
Yeah. All right.
It's bad. I would love to say I'm a rebel, but people don't know what the hell they're doing. They need somebody to lead them. That's just I know for a fact. If I was the same way I do all this stuff with music and stuff, I know for a fact I'd be in some dark cave planning on, overthrowing my master one day. Imperial. Imperial. Hopefully one day with years of therapy and trauma management, I can cross over to the rebel side.
Right. After you get that retirement package, then you'll be like, that's cool. I'll kick back. No, no, you're not even going to go that far.
No, I don't know. I'm a very angry person. So I believe in emotion. I believe in, and I know that Imperial and Rebel is just like Sith or Jedi. So
there you go. That's cool. Next question. What is your favorite Star Wars sound effect?
When the lightsabers cut on.
Yeah.
But a certain maybe this one does it. I know you didn't ask. I know.
No, I asked.
That's the sound effect.
Yeah.
Sounds like a squirrel has gas. But yeah, no, I don't know what it is. Like it used to be my text alert until it kept like it gets me excited. So you can imagine it's 1 a.m. Oh, now you're not going to sleep.
That's
Now
right.
you're up watching Star Wars.
That's awesome. And it's funny too because it's interesting that you found it specifically because there are a lot of people who say I love the lightsaber, and there's people like yourself who are like I like this one or that one or Kylo Ren's or Luke when that sounds a lot like the one. This is my total deep nerd level. That sounds like the sound from Empire when he ignites it against Vader. It's like it's aggressive, but it's still that classic sound. So
and when he tried to kill Kylo Ren in his sleep like a punk, I saw it. Look, y'all. I'm just. Y'all need to. We're gonna talk about the whole story. I understand he showed up in the Mandalorian and looked like Jesus incarnate, but still, this man. Let's never forget this man tried to kill one of the greatest Sith Lords ever in his sleep. All right.
Yeah.
I don't even know who I'm talking. I look around. You think it was a whole bunch of people around?
I'm like, is he doing this live somewhere? Like,
I'm just nuts.
No, that's awesome. I love it. Okay, who's your favorite droid? Any one of them.
I like the sassy droid from what was from Rogue One.
K2SO.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a big fan of Sass. Also, the droid that Taika Waititi played in The Mandalorian, the assassin droid. That thing was legit.
Yeah. That, and it's funny, like I used to be all R2 all the time, and I'm a huge R2 fan, but K2SO, he's my favorite. I love when he slapped Cassian in the face and was like, and there's another one where that came from. That's like, yes. It's just great. I just love that. I thought that was really well done. All right.
And the droid from, I think she died though, but the droid from Solo.
Oh yeah.
That was dating Lando. I thought she was hilarious. Just like K2SO, like they are the same for me.
Yep.
I love sassiness if y'all can't tell. Shout out to Matt, man. Matt's still dropping comments. I'm sorry. This is your show. I'm gonna be quiet.
No, hey, that's why they're here. If you want to
shout out to Matt, man. All y'all who listening right now, you need to have Matt. Has Matt been on the show before?
He's not been on the show. I should have him on the show. I should. Matt. He's been around for a while, man. He's a good dude. He's
bring Matt on one day, have him as a guest host or something. Matt, I'm gonna hit you up later. You can Venmo me for all this. I'm Matt's agent. If you haven't,
yeah, I was just gonna say, man, what's your cut? Jeez,
100%. Matt's working for experience.
Oh man, that's the musician's creed, right? You can come play my club for experience. And I love
maybe.
Yeah, I love the comeback to, I'm having a party at my house this weekend. You can bring all the beer and food you can. And they're like, oh, how much are you going to pay me? And you're like, well, people get to experience your bar at my house, so you can come on over with that. That's fine. So working for experience. All right. So next question is, what spaceship or vehicle would you most like to own? And I'm going to pull the Millennium Falcon off the table because everybody says that.
Oh yeah, no, honestly, I was never a fan of the Millennium. I thought it was too big and unwieldy.
Yeah.
But that being said, as I'm about to name this big unwieldy ship a Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
Just because, like, if I'm on a spaceship, I may as well own one that I can feel safe in forever.
And you could live there. You don't even need to.
Yeah. It's and I'm a huge introvert, so yeah, that'd be. You know what? Let me see if any Star Destroyers are available.
Go check Craigslist. I'm sure do people still use Craigslist? I don't even know. I don't know. Facebook Marketplace, maybe. I don't know.
Did you
what's that?
Did you play that video game, The Force Unleashed?
Oh yeah, I did.
When he pulled the Star Destroyer out the sky,
that was amazing. But like you were saying, the Star Destroyer is big enough. You could have like a whole floor to yourself. You could have your music studio in there. You could just like do the whole thing, man.
You could come live on the Star Destroyer too,
and we'd never see each other because it's so freaking big.
Exactly. We'd have weekly podcasts trying to find each other. Hey, I'm in section B4. I'm in Z12, brother. I'm sorry.
You know what? Forget it. It's too far away. I'll see you next week. All right. Porg, Ewok, or Jar Jar Binks? Who's your favorite of those three? I haven't asked this question in a long time. This has been a while.
I'm gonna say Jar Jar Binks just because I want to piss everybody off. No, at this point, I do dig Jar Jar Binks. And after learning about the story of you know the actor tried almost tried
Yeah, I'm at
to
best.
kill himself. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
I never had that kind of beef with Jar Jar Binks, and honestly, if you take Jar Jar Binks out of that movie, it's not the same. Like I think it's weird, but if you go back and watch it, I'm like, yo, Jar Jar kind of holds this. He's the connecting fabric,
He is. Yep. Yeah, if they don't run into him on the planet, they don't find the Gungans. They don't find their way over to the Queen. And yeah, I've told this.
Hate, man.
I've told the story a couple times, and I think you'd appreciate it. I was at the New York City premiere of Phantom Menace, and because Ahmed Best was in Stomp, I think, in Broadway. So he lived in New York, and so he was at that premiere, and nobody knew who he was, because first of all, you didn't even see his face on screen. But I remember he was on the red carpet, and somebody asked him a question, and he's like, "Yeah, what about that Jar Jar Binks, man? He was great. Everybody loves that." And I always remember how excited this guy was. Like you and I were talking before, right? If you got an opportunity to do anything in Star Wars, like he was so excited just to have his part in Star Wars, and then to watch people just abuse the character and then go after him. It broke my heart. It always made me like kind of a closet Jar Jar Binks fan because of that. Was because just like seeing his excitement and then seeing people just go in on it was, it's not cool. And to your point, it affected him. And I mean, it would affect anybody. I mean, think about that. Millions and millions and millions of people in the world are like, you ruined that movie. That sucks. That's a hard way to live, right?
It is.
So, all right. The next question
is, do better, people. That's what we're trying to say. Do better.
God. Do better. Exactly. And that already is a t-shirt, I think. If you could be any character in Star Wars, who would it be and why?
All right, this is a tough one, but I'm gonna say, damn, both of these dudes die actually. I mean, everybody dies, right? Sorry, the existential around the galaxy, Kylo Ren. Just because when you talk about, I think, out of anything else, I think that was a fantastic story arc, and there's a lot, there was a lot in there. Anakin Skywalker was a close second, but I'm not trying to be in pain for most of my technically, I am in pain for most of my life. I don't know. Between Anakin Skywalker and Kylo Ren, either of those two. For obvious reasons, they were both like incredibly strong and gifted. Everybody around them respected them, and the ones that didn't, they killed them. So
there you go. And that's all you need to know about Joe Barksdale.
That's it. We can end it right there. Call the police.
No, it's. And I think that's what's that's that really interesting Star Wars story is like I don't know about Kylo so much because we didn't get enough of his story, I don't think, but certainly Anakin, like he made dark choices because he thought they were the right choices. And I think, now very few people have, made some of those extreme choices, but we've all made decisions that are like, I'm doing this because I know it's not 100% right, but I think it's for the right reason. And that's an interesting story. That's like what we were talking about before. If you're following a movie about a train that stays on the tracks, kind of boring. But to see these guys make these decisions, these very difficult decisions,
these very human decisions, like real life decisions,
Yep.
Because I would have showed up and killed everybody too.
Yeah.
The Sand.
The Tusken Raiders. The
Tusken Raiders.
Yep. Yeah. Cool. All right. Original trilogy, prequels, or sequels? What's your favorite of the three?
I'm actually saying sequels. Because they encompass everything else. I know that's a cop out, but they encompass everything.
That's cool. That's a fair answer. It's interesting because every time I ask that question, I think I know what they're going to say. And I'm almost always wrong, which is great because it says, and the sequels also, one of the other things about sequels that I I've noticed is it's a different style of film, right? So like my kids love the sequels, and when they try to watch the originals, they're like, this is a little slow. This is, it's just three different styles of telling of making movies, and sequels, story or otherwise, they're certainly the most attention grabbing. And to your point, it does make connections to the rest of the story, which is a very cool thing.
And like you said, I was also a fan of the story in The Last Jedi too.
Yeah,
because it made sense. Like, as much as people want to talk about, oh, Luke would never. The Jedi were the reason that Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader in the first place.
Yep. Yeah.
They turned him to the dark side as much as he turned to the dark side. It was a 50-50 thing.
That's a great way to look at it. And the other thing that I think is so interesting about Last Jedi is people whose biggest complaint about Last Jedi is that's not what Luke would do. That's not my Luke Skywalker. It's like, you know what? That's the point of the movie. You have become what the point of the movie is.
Well, there's people like that in real life. Like, I remember I was at a Bible study one time with the, when I was playing football professionally, and it got into the discussion of like Jesus being Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, Jewish person, considered, person of color. He was, couldn't have been white because he was out in the sun all that time. And this dude just leaned back like, not my Jesus.
My Jesus is the beautiful white man with the long hair in my church. That is my Jesus.
That same Jesus that never had any controversial opinions, thoughts, or statements.
Right.
Like, that one. But yeah. So,
the guy they killed because they just felt like killing somebody that afternoon, and he was walking by.
Hey,
nothing to do with his
got some nails and a cross. Who? That guy.
That guy. Pick a number. Sorry, you got it. But lucky, hey, it's Easter, so everything will be fine. So
there you go. It's Easter.
I don't even know. All right, final question is on this list is, what's your favorite Star Wars quote?
Do or do not, there is no try.
Yeah.
Second favorite quote, unlimited power. I'm laughing, but I'm serious. I don't know what it is. Because it's like, oh, help me, I'm about to. It's like, whoa.
All right, your theory, was it the Force lightning that made him look like that, or did he always look like that and was hiding it? There's different thoughts on that. Where do you come down?
Ooh, I'm gonna say the Force lightning.
Yeah,
because I feel like you can't hide that. Like, his teeth were messed up. I mean, he was a whole different person.
It's pretty. It would take a lot of magic to make that ugly face not look so ugly.
Yeah, like, am I gonna take over the galaxy or worry about my mascara? Like,
oh man. Well, Joe, I took up way too much of your time, man. I appreciate this. This was so much fun. I haven't laughed this much around the galaxy in a long, I don't think maybe ever in 127 episodes or whatever. This was so much fun, dude.
I tried my best.
Where can people find you online? Where can they keep up with you?
JoeBarksdale.com. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. Go to JoeBarksdale.com. You can see all the socials from there, but I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. My wife's been trying to get me into TikTok. I don't think that's happening. Kevin also, it's not happening. All right, there's no TikTok. Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and there's probably going to be a TikTok one day, but that's not the point. All
right. I started a TikTok because Kevin Cabral actually was the guy when he was on my show. He was like, "You need a TikTok." I'm like, I'm not doing dances or anything.
Yeah.
But I just put clips from the show. I'll pick, like, you'll find some funny stuff from this episode up on TikTok. You'll be able to find it there when I go through this. And
stop speaking that into my life. See, when you eventually log on,
you'll do it. Yes, you will.
You're right.
So, but Joe, thank you so much, man. This was a ton of fun.
Oh, no problem, man. Thanks for having me. I'm sorry that I had so many different things to say that didn't have anything to do with Star Wars.
Man, no, this was I have no joke, man. This was so much fun. Like, this was great. Like, just, one of the things that I'm trying to do with the show, and I'm still rolling, but I don't care. Because before I let you go, I gotta get you to do a little bumper, and we'll get to that in a second. But one of the things that I want this show to be about, I've always wanted the show to be about from day one, has been like two people who have a Star Wars connection, right? Like you're walking down the hall, or walking in the mall or wherever, and you see somebody with a Star Wars shirt. You got a connection. You don't know what it is. It might be very superficial. It might be just like, hey, we both like Stormtrooper helmets, and that's it. Or you might be able to, spend an hour and a half just laughing and talking about things that are Star Wars adjacent, but not Star Wars. And that's what this show's all about. And
that's why it's so much better than Harry Potter. Because the creator's not coming out changing everything every 5 minutes. I used to love Harry Potter too.
Did you?
Yeah, and that's what I love about George Lucas versus J.K. Like they both had the same vision, but George got to a point where he was like, "Hey, I need some help. There's a lot of stuff that's going on. I can't do this alone." And J.K. Rowling's like, "I'm an independent woman. I don't like trans people. Y'all can kiss my ass." Like,
right? Exactly.
That's
That's funny.
JK cool. Tried her best.
Yeah. When's your next? You've been dropping 2 weeks in a row. You've dropped a new single, right? You got another?
Oh, that's been going on all year.
Okay.
And I don't know why I didn't tell you this. The second album that I dropped this year was called Walton. It's George Lucas's middle name, and if you look at the track list, it spells out George Lucas.
Oh wow!
But it was I'm dropping a 52-week project. I divided it into 4 parts, 4 different albums. And there's a single that comes out every Monday, and then the album drops at the end of that cycle. But yeah, this year it was Marvin Gaye, Jimi Hendrix, George Lucas, and Kanye West. So the George Lucas one is already out. It's called Walton.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, there's a good Star Wars influence stuff on there too.
Yeah, we didn't even get into like your influences and stuff like that. I think the reason I like that Black Magic song so much is it's got a real I can't think of his name, Gary
Clark Jr.
No, I'm gonna look it up. It's gonna drive me crazy. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up right now because he's Gary Clark. Yeah, did you say Gary Clark Jr.? You said that, right? Yeah, exactly like that. Like woke up in New York City, just love that. So.
You can build a good song around a good little riff.
Yeah, it's true, man. It's true. I mean, one of my COVID, I sent you a link in Twitter. You might not have seen it, but over COVID, I met a guy who we've been friends on Twitter, and I'm a bass player and a drummer, and he's a singer and a bass player and a guitar player. And we wrote like 5 Star Wars related songs and recorded them remotely. Like we'd send each other tracks, and
nice.
It's just fun, man. It's just like when you get that music connection, you got like, it's such an interesting. It's such a it's a weird sort of deep connection that you make with somebody just over music, So
and those are the people that you just need to keep connecting with, not like, the faceless millions on Twitter going crazy.
This is true, man. This is true. Oh, that's cool. So if I could get you to say this is Joe Barksdale and you're listening to Around the Galaxy, that would be awesome.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe Barksdale and you're listening to Around the Galaxy.
That's perfect, man. Right. Thank you so much. I will be abusing your Twitter handle next week when I drop this, and
that's fine.
It'll be next week.
I'm gonna put my number in this private chat.
All right, cool.
Share it with Matt if you want to.
I'll text you when we're done. But I appreciate it so much, man. This was great, and I'm really glad we connected.
Thank you, man. I'm really glad we connected too. I'm actually sending you a message as we speak.
Awesome.
Just a second, I'm typing it.
Hit this end.